Welcome to WeLearn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 11 of India, earliest times to the 8th century AD, and the chapter is Chalcolithic and Early Iron Age second. Topics to be covered are Introduction, Early Farming Settlements, Neolithic Surface Finds, and Iron Age in South India. Introduction. By now, you must be well familiar with the evolution of human beings from hunter-gatherers into settled agricultural communities. You have also learned about the existence of the Harappan civilization and the various aspects related to it. As we know how different cultures emerged following the decline of the Harappan civilization, covering the time span from the 2nd millennium BC to 1st millennium BC, in this unit we'll review the developments in South India during the same period. Early farming settlements. The distinguishing features of these settlements are sedentary village settlements with semi-permanent to permanent structures, the latter consisting of wattle and daub. So sedentary village settlements were there with some permanent or some not so permanent structures were there, and the latter consisting of the wattle and daub. Stone axes manufactured by grinding and polishing, long and thin blades made of the grained rocks like chert, jasper, chalcedony and agate. Pottery which is handmade in the early stages and wheel made in the later stages. So pottery is also mentioned, which was handmade initially, and after that it was wheel made in the later stages. An economy based on millet farming and cattle and sheep or goat pastoralism. An economy which was based on millet farming and cattle and sheep or goat pastoralism was there. The dietary needs are supplemented by wild game. Cultural phases. On the basis of the overall evidence, we can distinguish three broad phases in the growth of the early farming communities in South India. Phase 1. The earliest settlements of these farming communities represent this phase. The earliest settlements, the very early settlements of these farming communities represent this phase, which was initially about farming. Initially, the settlements or the communities about farming. Phase 2, the settlement pattern of phase 1 continues without any change. So the settlement pattern, the way settlement pattern existed in phase 1, that continued without any change. Settlements were still made on top of granitic hills or on level surfaces on the hillside. So settlements were still made on the top of granitic hills, and they were also on leveled surfaces on the sides of the hill. Phase 3, the important development in this phase is the increase in the number of copper and bronze tools. So in the phase 3, the increase in the number of copper and bronze tools happened. Subsistence economy. In view of the location of the sites in relation to physiography, it would appear that areas which were suited largely for gravity flow irrigation were generally colonized. So the areas which were suited for gravity flow irrigation were generally, they were colonized, they were under the control of some other economy. However, there are some sites like Virapuram on the bank of Krishna, Halur on the Tungabhadra, T. Narsipur at the confluence of the Kaveri and Kapila, and those in the alluvial zones of the Krishna, where there is scope for water management through canal irrigation. So there were some areas like Narsipur, Halur on the Tungabhadra on the bank of Krishna, some alluvial zones of the Krishna were there, where water management, where there was scope for water management through canal irrigation. The available archaeobotanical evidence indicates that millets and pulses were the main cultivated crops. So the archaeobotanical evidence which is available in front of us shows, or it indicates, the millets and pulses, these were the main cultivated crops at that time. Material culture. Pottery. Pottery in phase 1, 2500 to 1800 BC, was predominantly handmade grey or buff brown. This grey ware is characterized by the use of bands of red ochre applied after firing. In phase In phase second, in phase 11, 1800 to 1500 BC, the red and black slipped wires disappear and new types occur. In phase third, 1400 to 1050 BC, new ceramic types occur. A grey and a buff wire with a harder surface and a wheel thrown unburnished wire with purple paint. Some stone tools and bone artifacts. Stone tools and bone artifacts, they were also there. The stone blade industry consists of long and thin parallel sided blades, some of which are finished into other forms by retouch. These finished forms are crescents, triangles, trapezes, and serrated blades. And also, some of the parallel sided blades show a gloss on the cutting edge, which is due to their use in harvesting activities. And some of the parallel sided blades were also there. Some of the parallel sided blades also show a gloss on the cutting edge, which is due to their use in the harvesting activities. So in their harvesting activities, these blades were also used. Many stone tools were also polished. The most common type of the polished or ground stone axe industry is the triangular axe with a pointed buff and oval cross section. So a lot of stone tools were used there, which were long as well as which were thin parallel sided blades, and some of which are finished into other forms by retouch. So these finished forms are crescents, triangles, as well as trapezes. Metal objects, as noted earlier, copper and bronze tools appear in phase second and increase in phase third. So the most important of these are flat axes and chisels, which are reminiscent of those of Malwa and Maharashtra. The other interesting find is the antenna sword found at Kalur. The other items of copper or bronze which are known from various excavated sites are bangles, spiral ear rings, and antimony rods. So a lot of material was found. Copper and bronze tools were there. Flat axes and chisels were also there, which were reminiscent of Malwa and Maharashtra, and an antenna sword was also found at Kalur, and various items of copper and bronze were also found. Beads and terracotta figurines. Beads made of semi-precious stones have occasionally been found at some of the excavated sites. For example, circular disc beads of paste and steatite were discovered at Nagar Junakonda. Terracotta figurines, predominantly of humped cattle, have been recovered from excavated sites like Pikli Hall. These, seen in the context of paintings of cattle around the settlements of Kupgal, Maski, Pikli Hall, etc., are suggestive of the significance attached to cattle in their culture. So lots of paintings, cattle, these were also found around the settlements of all these areas, and they are suggestive of the significance attached to cattle in their culture. Burial practices. The dead were commonly buried within the houses, and infants were buried in urns. Excavations at Tekolakota revealed multiple pot burials which recall the burials of Maharashtra. At Neolithic cemeteries reported at Nagar Junakonda. The offerings usually consisted of pots, including spouted vessels, and in some cases stone axes and stone blades. Neolithic surface finds. Apart from being found in habitation sites, polished stone axes occur in small isolated assemblages in forested regions. Such occurrences are common in South India, and often there is a habitation site nearby. What do such occurrences indicate? Such find spots probably represent activity loci. This is to say, considering the functional use of the tools, these find spots indicate vegetation clearance in the hilly forested zones for dry farming operations. So the functional use of the tools were also found, which indicate vegetation clearance in the hilly forested zones. Such isolated Neolithic stone axe clusters are common in the wooded hill ranges of Tamil Nadu. So isolated stone axes clusters were also found. Sleveri, Javadi, and Tirumali hilly zones were there. Iron Age in South India. The use of iron in South India began sometime around 1100 BC. This date has been suggested on the basis of the radiocarbon analysis of objects found at Halur. However, at some of the other sites discussed earlier, we find that the Neolithic Chalcolithic cultural horizons overlap with Iron Age levels. So, Some of the Neolithic and Chalcolithic cultural horizons were overlapping with Iron Age levels. In northern Deccan, Maharashtra, also the occupations at several Chalcolithic settlements continue into the Iron Age, and it is the same case at sites like Brahmagiri, Piklihal, Sanganakalu, Maski, Payampally, etc. in southern Deccan. So these were also these particular sites were also found in northern Deccan or the Maharashtra, where the occupations at several settlements were continued. Megalithic cultures. Most of the information about the Iron Age in South India comes from the excavations of the megalithic graves. The megaliths usually refer to burials amidst stones in graveyards away from habitation area. In South India, this kind of elaborate burial came with Iron Age. Megalithic burials have been reported in large numbers from Maharashtra around Nagpur, Karnataka, sites like Maski, Andhra Pradesh, Nagarjunakonda, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Origins of the megalithic cultures. The megalithic emerged around the end of the second and beginning of the first millennium BC, and this practice continued for many centuries subsequently. Some scholars are of the opinion that megaliths cannot be associated with a single cultural group and that the South Indian graves appear as a developing complex with several streams of influences combining in them. Material culture. The material remains of the Iron Age are represented by pottery with certain specificities besides iron and other metal objects. So, the pottery that we discover from all the excavated graves is the black and red wire. So, the black and red wire pottery was also discovered, and also pottery with certain specificities besides iron and other metal objects were found. Iron and other metal objects. Iron objects have been found universally in all the megalithic sites, right from Junapani near Nagpur in Vidarbha down to Adi Chanalore in south, a distance of nearly 1500 km. So iron objects have also been found universally in all the megalithic sites, right from Junapani to the Adi Chanalore. Subsistence economy. Excavated habitation sites of the Iron Age are few, so it's difficult to form a clear picture of the economy of the South Indian megalithic builders. Some of the excavated sites have yielded remains of sheep, goat and cattle, and also millets and pulses. An important feature of the iron objects which are grave goods recovered from the excavated burials is the uniformity in types. Such a wide distribution of identical types of iron objects right from Junapani to Adichanalore in the south testifies to the movement of a fairly tightly knit group of iron workers. So such a wide distribution of the identical types of iron objects from certain places testifies a tightly knit group of the workers. So that was all about the Chalcolithic age. These are some of the questions. You have to do it yourself. Question number 1. Can the economy of the farming communities of South India be characterized as agro-pastoral? Write in few lines. And question number 2. Write 5 lines on the economy of the South Indian megalith builders. That's all. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.